Howdy, folks. Welcome to the show. I hope you're having a good day, even if you're an Oilers fan with the news from last night. I'm sure you all know how the game went, but I just want to talk about my thoughts on it, as always. And I hope you enjoy them. And if you do, please leave a like down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section while you're there. And while you're there, you can also subscribe and turn on notifications for more. There was lots of good for the Oilers from that game, but it seems a lot of that good, both in reference to the game and the series, came too little too late. The Oilers actually overall played a pretty good game, but whenever they seemed to make a mistake, it was just a really poorly bad timing mistake, which Florida always seemed to capitalize on. I think Florida made twice as many mistakes as the Oilers, but Bobrovsky was there for the majority of them, and Skinner wasn't there for the Oilers all the time. And I'm not blaming Skinner for all the goals. There's one he could have been better on, and I'm still not really going to defend him too much when he only ended up with an 826 save percentage, but that's still more defense than the certain guys on the Oilers are giving him. Though I do think the Oilers' defense is overall still pretty good. They're just finding some inconsistencies that they have to deal with. But at the end of the day, the Oilers did not only outshoot the Panthers 35-23. That's quite the margin, especially against a team like the Panthers. But they also out-hit the Panthers, a team that does not get out-hit. Face-off percentage was still in the Panthers' favor, but it has been, the Oilers have over the course of the series been getting better in the face-off circle. But at the end of the day, the thing that I've been saying is that if the Oilers score a power play goal, I think they win the game. Because that's been the one thing missing from their game, besides having an elite goalie, but not many teams can have that. Panthers do. Even though the Oilers' penalty kill remained perfect on their lone opportunity, their power play looked better, but not good enough. They were still 0-3. And it's just kind of the story of the game really was summed up in the first period when the Oilers had an incredible period, and they still end with the score in favor of the Panthers 1-0. It was which mistake was that? I think that was Bouchard. That was a Bouchard mistake. Eventually ended up in Skinner's net, and as I usually say, I don't blame Skinner on all these goals, but after a while it's kind of like, okay, well, you gotta step up some more. He has stepped up in games 1 and 2. He had some pretty hot saves. He stepped up against Dallas and eventually stepped up against Vancouver. He is young, so again, as I keep saying, I'm not worried about his future, but we need his future now, unfortunately. Whereas the Panthers are all in their prime right now, seemingly. Barkov especially had an amazing game, as well as there's lots of guys who had a great game. Reinhardt had a great game, and he's not one of the 3 stars. I got really close to putting him, but then I saw Gustav Forsling play 28, almost 29 minutes, almost 5 minutes shorthanded, in which I thought he was really good in all of it. I kind of had to put him in there, and Barkov had to be the first star, and Bobrovsky had to be a star. He made a lot of ridiculous saves again. This is the second of the 3 games in which they've played in which, if you ignore the scoreboard, you'd think the Oilers are up in the series 2-1, but that's not the case. Bobrovsky's really taken over. The Oilers are no strangers to being goalied this year, especially when it comes to Russian goalies. The Oilers do have a history of a recent history, of figuring out goalies. Jacob Markstrom is a great example of how the Oilers eventually figured him out and all that kind of stuff. And I think the Oilers do have Bobrovsky figured out, but Florida knows where to stand or to play or how to play in order to not let the Oilers abuse what few holes Bobrovsky leaves, which is up high. But again, the Panthers are usually pretty aggressive to not allow these high quality chances or give an opportunity to a guy to do a high corner snipe. Fogel's the first goal for the Oilers this game was because he had lots of time. He was by himself. He was on a breakaway. He had all the time he needed to pick the corner, and he scored. Broberg's was a Vancouver level easy bounce. We'll take it, but it's hard to really blame Bobrovsky on that one. And then yeah, McLeod scored as well. He brought us in within one goal. I think that's the third period the Oilers can build upon, but they can't afford any more losses. They are now down 3-0 in the series. A reverse sweep, if I read the score article right, has only happened 4 times in NHL history, at least when it comes to 7-game series. It's only happened once in the Stanley Cup Finals. That was in 1942, when the Detroit Red Wings had a 3-0 series lead against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Maple Leafs would go on to win 4 straight to win the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying I believe that's going. I can believe. I'm willing to believe that the Oilers can do that. But it's increasingly becoming more of a self-delusion than a realistic take, because the series is virtually over. There's a reason this reverse sweep has only happened once. But I will echo what Stuart Skinner said. If any team can do a reverse sweep, it is the Oilers. There was, like I said, there was lots of positives from this game. Florida did not have a great game, but they still end up winning because their best players had the best games. You'll notice Draisaitl has not scored a point in all 3 of these games. He was coming in being unstoppable against the Kings, against Vancouver, and nearly unstoppable against Dallas before being very stoppable right now. I think part of that has to do with line mates, and I think that will deserve a different video. I'll do a short video after that about what I think the Oilers are going to do going forward. And then and going back to McDavid, he did end up getting 2 assists today. He did end up having a pretty good, or not today, last night. He did end up having a pretty good game, but he's still being left off the score sheet, and not for a lack of trying, not for a lack of shots. Florida they know they can't stop the Oilers forever. They just need to stop them long enough to win 4, and they've won 3 so far. So full credit to the Panthers. It would suck to lose in the finals, and it's sucking right now, and I'd hate to Oilers to lose in the finals, but at the same time, I don't mind Florida Panthers winning either. I would mind Matthew Tkachuk winning, but I wouldn't mind Paul Maurice winning. I'd be quite happy for Paul Maurice. I'd be quite happy for Bobrovsky. I'd be very happy for Forsling and Barkov, and there's lots of good reasons for Florida to win. I'm saying that as to make myself feel better as I try to accept the fact that it's virtually over. But focusing on Game 3, it's not over yet. That's what McDavid said. That's what I've been saying. The series goes to 4 for a reason. Is it virtually over? Yeah, pretty much. But if you're watching these games, it's not like it doesn't feel like a 3-0. It does feel like a 3-0 lead for Panthers, because it is, but it doesn't feel like they've dominated the Oilers. Game 2, they had more stretches of dominance, but there hasn't been a game where either team has really had full dominance for more than 40 minutes. Second period, let's talk about the second period, actually, because that's where Florida basically won the game, including having their game winner from Barkov at what would end up being the game winner from Barkov in the last 5 minutes. That was a great period for the Oilers until it wasn't. The first 9 minutes were amazing for the Oilers, absolutely incredible. They had tied the game early. They were really laying a beating on all the Panthers and their goalie. And then there's a mistake, and Tarasenko scores. And then there's another mistake, Sam Bennett scores. And then there's another mistake, and Alexander Barkov scores. It's not like these are just little mistakes. They are pretty big mistakes. The Oilers don't make a lot of mistakes, but when they do, it's very noticeable. And the Florida Panthers are a very good team at capitalizing on those mistakes. And it's obviously worked out to their favor. I'm not going to say, they're only winning because we're making mistakes, because sometimes that's how you win, and if that's what matters at the end. Doesn't matter how you play, it matters how you win. So that's kind of my takeaway from the game. My other takeaway is Broberg is here. If we're looking forward as an Oilers to the future, Broberg is here. I would be very surprised if he's not playing the entire season next year, obviously barring an injury. I was really impressed by him, really excited by him. Darnell Nurse was a +1 today. both Broberg and Darnell Nurse were on the end of a bad mistake. Broberg's bad mistake early in the game didn't result in a goal against. Skinner made a big save there, and Broberg would be pretty good from there on. Nurse did make a big mistake. It did result in a goal, but he was otherwise very good. Nurse and Broberg did end up being a +1. Nurse doesn't do that often in these playoffs, and Broberg, I think, is the only defenseman to be a positive with Darnell Nurse. So there's that, and that will lead into a different video on what I think the Oilers should do. Just speculating, as might be one last video I could speculate about the Oilers season, but we'll see. That's for the next video. Right now, I'll just cover the 3 stars. I've already talked about my actual 3 stars, but if you're familiar with the channel, you'll know I also like to do Oilers 3 stars. I also forgot to mention the 3 stars from last game, so I'll do that first. From the last game, when I had Evan Rodriguez as the first star, which you could probably guess. He scored 2 goals in that game. Then I had Anton Lundell with 2 assists and some penalty killing. And then my third star was an Oiler, being Matthias Ekholm, who scored the Oilers' lone goal. He had five blocks and a ton of penalty killing minutes, in which I thought he was very good, nearly 6 penalty killing minutes. This game, moving on to this game, you can see my actual 3 stars, which were all Panthers. I've mentioned them already. But on the Oilers side of things, McDavid was my first star with his 2 assists and 25 minutes on ice. Brett Kulak was my second star with an assist, good penalty killing, and 15 minutes and a half on ice. Third star, I did mention Philip Broberg. Not a lot to show for it in the box score besides the goal, which is more fluky than talent. But hey, the goal's a goal. But I thought he looked very steady and very calm in a lot of his play. I don't think there's a Oiler that's doing just terrible. It's just anyone that's doing good or all right. Panthers are matching it and being better in a lot of ways. Panthers didn't get a lot of shots today. The Oilers defense did very good in that, and the Oilers offense did very good, but it just comes down to converting, and that's what it takes to win. Anyways, that's it for this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you later.